Mic check. 1, 2. Testing, testing. Just making sure everything's working. I got my music on. I got my little joint. Because it's about to get... We're getting real analytical today. What's good, Noah? I see you, bro. But, yeah, no. Work's been busy. But that doesn't mean I haven't been tapped into what's been going on the internet. Here, let me go ahead and switch over, because... Alright, I just read your message, sis. Let me go to YouTube. History. There we go. What's good, y'all? What's good? How's it going? My camera. About to light my little shit right here. Give me 1 second. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. If I need to turn myself up, please let me know. And I will adjust accordingly. Found out some bullshit last night on D-Fran's live stream. Funny you mentioned that. So, I went in and I saw the live. Because I saw the part where Miss Hummus was getting dogged out. I'm gonna talk about that. Because as everybody knows, I never walk into a situation uninformed. And I never walk into a situation without full context. I don't just jump on bandwagons and start hate trains unless I have the full scope and knowledge of everything that's going on. Oh, we got Tom here, and Tom is still wearing the bonnet, so you know it's about to get messy. I'm about to say a lot of things that a lot of you are not going to agree with. And frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Because I know what my eyes are seeing and I know what my ears are hearing. And 9 times out of 10, y'all are not gonna agree with it. So go ahead, sit back, get your popcorn, cause we're going for a fucking ride. Full disclaimer, by the way, I am speaking not as a stan, not as a fan, not as some weird fucking, I'm not speaking as any member of any community. I'm speaking as me. I'm using my discernment. I'm using my judgment. I'm using my eyes, my ears, my brain, and my research. And I am going to trust said discernment, despite what the masses say. Because that's what Jesus did. And they killed him for it. So imagine what they're gonna do to me. OGT as the live stream. What's good, Miss Hummus? But yeah, I did my research. I watched every single live stream that came out about this bullshit. And I'm sorry, Challz. This ain't it, buddy. It's not it, bro. No, don't do this. Don't do this. This is not what you want to do. Like, I saw the most recent one where he's like, oh, we going to war now. It's endgame. They set me up. Nah, dude. No, that's not it. That's not what happened at all, actually. You must think I'm fucking stupid, actually. Because I watched the live. I went and watched it. Yeah, all 3 hours. Let me see, 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 23 seconds. I watched every single last minute of it. And you did not get jumped. You didn't get lined up. You didn't get embarrassed, so to speak. For the most part, they were protecting your ass, dude. I don't know if you've noticed, but they were protecting you, homie, because Jay wanted to get in your ass. No pause. He wanted to tear you to shreds, buddy. And I watched it with Wardu, Defran, Jay, Chig Smooth. It had a couple other people on there. Philly Swain, I think, was another dude. Doughboy, not the Doughboy that I know from All Def, a different Doughboy. I never thought I would ever have to say that in my life. There is more than one Doughboy on the internet, and not the comedian Doughboy, but a different one. So context here. Here's what I saw. I first started with the video from Defran explaining the situation about how Challz said he got a message saying that he, actually, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not going off of my memory. I'm high right now. I took notes because I'm a fucking autistic psychopath. I took notes. I went through like 4 different fucking live streams, and I worked last night. So that's 8 hours worth of content that I've consumed. Roughly, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12 hours of content consumed in roughly 8 hours. But I took notes. So buckle up. You're not gonna like what I say, and that's fine. That's perfectly okay. We can all have different opinions and still be civil. Something that a lot of you were not. And don't worry, I'm getting to y'all. Y'all know who the fuck you are. Okay. Bullet point number 1. And y'all think I'm bullshitting. Yeah, no, I wrote this shit down. I have several pages of notes. Y'all really thought I came ill prepared. Y'all must not know what kind of bitch I am. But here we go. Challz went into a panel with Defran, Chig Smooth, and a few others. Challz says a very prominent YouTuber that I respect and you guys know very well hit my DMs on Twitter saying, "Get out of the live, don't let them line you up." The panel consisted of 9 people. I have the names here: Wardy's World, Doughboy, Ray Spitta, Jay Roebuck, Defran, Challz Brown, Billy Swain, Chig Smooth, and Legend Authentic View. Those were the 9 people present on the panel. People in the chat speculating. They said Screwface was the one that told him. Honestly, I didn't think it was him. I was like, I don't know, he's probably too busy to get involved with shit like that, or he probably just doesn't care. It's not his camp. Why the fuck would he care about that? But I don't know. Next bullet point. Jay Roebuck was brought on because Jason Amaru, formerly known as Jalopy Bungus, was supposed to be there, but Wardu gave him the wrong time. It was 10:30, 9:30 Central Time instead of 9:30 Eastern Time. So he gave him 9:30 Central, which would have been 10:30 Eastern Standard instead of it being 9:30 Eastern Time, which would have been 8:30 Central. So that's the reason why. God damn it. Dad, I gotta call you later. Doing research. Oh, Dad, you don't understand. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm a daddy's girl to the day I die. I love my dad. He's the reason I am the way that I am today. So I'm happy about that. Eva, thank you for the gold coins. I appreciate it. Moving on to the next bullet point. Jason, Challz, Defran, Wordu, Chigs, J Roebuck, Doughboy, Billy Swain, and Legend Authentic View were supposed to be in attendance. Now we move on to the thick, and this is where I start calling out names. Let this be expressed that this shows I have no ill will towards you. I am merely citing what I have seen with my eyes. This entire thing is non-biased. I am not biased. I am AI. I am a robot with titties the size of Jupiter, but that's beside the point. Everything I say is alleged. Disclaimer. You can clip it, do whatever the fuck you want with it. I don't care. But my views and my notes are non-biased and come from a point of logic and reasoning. I am not basing my observations on feelings. I am basing my observations on common knowledge, common sense, and statistics. Now, if you're ready, go ahead and strap in, grab whatever drink, whether it's, just a soft drink or a hard drink, because you may need it after going through this. But I know I need it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not getting cross-faded right now. I'm doing research. And I have quotes, and I have timestamps. I will be reading the chat periodically, but for the most part, I'm not going to be engaging. This is me sharing my notes that I observed with my eyes that God gave me. 20/20 vision, by the way. And reading comprehension skills, because they was not finna have me stupid out here, unfortunately. DC public schools did not fuck around in the early 2000s, bro. They said they were like Asian parents. They say, you gonna be doctor or lawyer or you get the fuck out. That's literally what it was. That's it. That's all it is. That's probably why I'm so fucking weirdly anal about everything. Correlation does not equal causation in this case. We're gonna go ahead and continue. Interesting point of reference that I brought up. Miss Hummus and a few of the Hummies invaded Defran's live stream, and the first thing Miss Hummus did was call Defran a, and I quote, Uncle Ruckus ass nigga. And I do have that in quotes. Then follows it up with, you done messed with the wrong one. Out the gate, pretty aggressive. I'm not really not engaging. I'm just observing the live stream because I'm watching the replay and I am taking my notes as I am listening. Next bullet point. So the whole conversation of what I explained earlier eventually surmises to Challz was not expecting Drake fans on the panel. And I'm not even going to put it past J Roebuck. He got triggered because of the thumbnail that he made. Or Challz got mad because of the thumbnail that J Roebuck made about a point in time that they discussed something during the live stream. And I'll admit, it was clickbaity. It was clickbaity as fuck. I'm not even gonna sit there and pretend that it isn't. That was a clickbaity ass thumbnail and a clickbaity ass title, and he even said it was. He said it was. He was like, I didn't fucking have time to make a thumbnail during the live stream. I put that video out in the middle of the live stream. He was like, that was an old thumbnail and an old title from a different video. He was like, that's why the fucking context didn't even make sense in the title. That's why he said that's why it was plural. And he was like, if I was setting up Challz, why would I have an S at the end? But I'm not even gonna put it past you, Jay. That was clickbaity as fuck. But it's the algorithm. You know how it works. You know how to manipulate and exploit the algorithm, which a lot of people do. So I'm not putting that past Challz. That title, that thumbnail, and that title was clickbaity as fuck. However, that did not warrant what will be happening later. Challz felt the type of way about it. Defran calls out Miss Hummus at one point directly and tells her to chill out because she's popping off. Soon after, the chat begins spamming owl and koala emojis. Defran is getting frustrated at this point. We move further on. Interesting note. Comment from K-Way says Defran, Bryce, and Wordu didn't even give him belt to ass like they should have. I put in red, likely referring to Jay Roebuck as the intended target. I'm genuinely not sure who the context of that was. I don't know. And so that's why I put likely. Chat is still spamming koala emojis and screaming "we outside" like a goddamn gang, hurling unnecessary insults at Defran instead of hearing his point of view. Very mob mentality. These are basic observations. Assume that I am AI, because I am. I am an AI goth woman, okay? And who loves music and can make a damn good latte. On my mama. Now, there is a point where Defran pulls up the video that Challz made explaining that he felt a certain type of way. And in the middle of that video, I noticed that Challz said something very interesting. He says that he, quote unquote, got a little testy. And he said, I'll admit, I got a little testy during the live. I got a little testy. And he says it a couple times. And at the time, I hadn't actually seen the live stream yet, so I didn't know what he meant by that. So I was like, you know what? That's fine. That's mature. That's very mature for admitting that you did get a little hot-headed. Though I didn't know just how much. I don't know. I didn't see the live by then. And so I was taking it at face value. But I wrote it down for notes. We move on to my next point. So, to surmise, Challz was uncomfortable with the fact that he was in a room full of people that don't agree with him / have different opinions than him, preferably Drake, because there were quite a few Drake fans in there, but there were also quite a few Drake haters in there. Like I said, Chig Smooth was in there as well. I think who was it? Chig Smooth, Billy Swain, Ray Spitta, and Challz Brown. Those are your Kendrick, or those are your, I guess, not even Kendrick. Those are your anti-Drake people right there. And the rest are pro-Drake. So, pretty even, in my opinion. That seems like a very fair gauntlet. That seems like it would, create very interesting conversation, at least. We move on. Chat is still spamming insults, koala emojis, and now Kendrick lyrics. And my next note. So wait, Chigs was there, and he doesn't fuck with Drake. So what exactly was Charles's problem? Because he's giving the implication that he was set up to be outnumbered / ganged up on by this group of people who just happened to be pro Drake. And I'm not gonna spoil anything for now in the live, but we'll get to that. Interesting note, when Challz talked about sales starting with MC Hammer, Defran did not pause or disagree with that sentiment, like he did with the point Challz made before, which was about, him being set up. So he publicly, verbally disagreed with that point. But when Challz talked about his MC Hammer statistic, or his MC Hammer fact, he stayed quiet. He didn't disagree with him. So that gave me an inkling right there. I'm like, okay, this guy is willing to listen to reason and understand when a good point has been made. That was clue number 1. We're going to continue. It was essentially a conversation between people with differing opinions. And that was my summary based off of the testimony that Defran was giving. Because by this point, I still had not seen the live stream yet. Next, bullet. Defran recounts a time where he was debating Challz on Twitter, and a commenter posted a photo of Challz's wife and proceeded to insult her. Defran immediately chastised the commenter, telling him to leave his wife out of it. This is a conversation between me and him. I put in blue, pattern recognized. Content creators who are comfortable having a different opinion give other creators who have different opinions than them a platform to discuss, debate, and challenge said opinions/perspectives. This is essentially what happened. Chat by proxy reacts in a volatile manner because an opposing opinion is met with extreme hostility in that community. We're going to continue. Interesting detail. Defran says out loud at one point, "We don't care about No Jumper," when No Jumper was brought up in conversation. I thought that was very interesting. They don't like No Jumper. They think they're a bunch of losers. That was just a little point of reference that that was just a little insight. At this point, I have all but confirmed a pattern that I had noticed with my eyes. And with my ears, as these comments were not just displayed, but they were actively read out loud, every single last one of them. Chat is exacerbating the situation because Defran is a Drake fan. That's it. It's literally, it's y'all. It's y'all. I hate to tell you, I'm sorry, bro. It's y'all. Interesting point of reference. Ms. Hummus instigated the chat invasion by leaving a super chat that specifically said to spam Defran's chat, which is confirmed in the other live stream where she actually got on there with them and later apologized for. I did watch that, so I saw. At least you apologize. You were just like, "I'm sorry, I acted a little out of pocket there. I'm not even going front." I admire that. So I'm not like honing in on you for that. Koala's live stream gets pulled up, and Koala begins roasting Defran and the others one by one. In my opinion, some of the jokes were funny. Some of them were funny. I felt they personally dragged on a little too long. He should have just had the punchline, let it run its course, and then come up with something either to build upon or, add or just change entirely or like magnify the joke. But there was none of that. So I don't know. It kind of fell flat after a while to me. And some of them were good. And even Defran was sitting there laughing at it because black people, we roast each other, and so if we're getting roasted, we're not 9 times out of 10 we're not gonna feel a type of way about it if we're if it's all in good fun. We're gonna sit there and be like, "All right, let's see what you got. Okay, that was a good joke. I respect a good roast. Okay, he talked about my hairline. Okay, I respect that. Yeah." He talked about my nose. He said I have a football nose helmet. Okay, that's kind of funny. But then he kept dragging it on, and he's like, "All right, it's kind of played out now." So, by this point, Defran has had enough. He starts roasting Koala back. I'm not even gonna front. I low-key snorted my water out through my nostrils when he pulled up the Sid from Ice Age, the sloth. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting it, but that's why we do not fuck with people from the South, because this man is from Houston. Do not fuck with these Southern people, bro, because it's Southern hospitality until you push them just a little bit too far. Then you get in that country style ass whooping. So moving on to the next point. Interesting. Defran openly disagrees / dislikes the licking ice sniffing seat weirdo streamer Drake worship fetishization. He does not agree with it. Yeah, he displays open disgust whenever that is brought up, which is fair. That should be the natural reaction from the average citizen. That should just be kind of a gut reaction to look at somebody putting their tongue on nasty ass ice in wherever the fuck it was. But I know it was like covered in pigeon shit and whatever, and fucking dirty sewer water from the street. And these dudes were like, "Oh yeah, let's put our tongues on it." I mean, That's why the word window licker exists, because there are you slow ones that go around licking windows, and that's why we have diseases. It's because y'all are nasty. Kids, I'm looking at y'all. Some of y'all kids are just petri dishes of disease. They'll lick anything. Like they'll lick the doorknobs, the fucking windows. They lick the goddamn banisters on the. That's why I don't be touching nothing out in public, especially if there's a bunch of kids around. That shit is disgusting. It's gross. And like when I have my own kids someday, I am going to be like, don't you see that? You see Jimmy over there chewing on the purple Crayola crayons? Don't be like Jimmy. He's a fucking idiot. His mother drank when she was pregnant with him. We're gonna continue. Confirmed fan, not stan. And I've been analyzing, 1, how he talks, 2, his behavior, and 3, his response to opinions that challenge his. And they all match up on the fan side, not the stan side. He is a reasonable guy who just happens to like Drake's music. And I know a couple of those. I know a couple of people that are Drake fans that I'm cool with, that I'm subscribed to, that I support. There's nothing wrong with it. There's still people out here listening to R. Kelly, and we know what the fuck he did. I personally don't listen to R. Kelly's music out of principle, and because every time I hear it, all I can think about is Aaliyah, and then I cry. But, yeah. Like, if people like Drake's music, I don't care. It's when they start, like, worshiping him as some sort of deity that I get, like, uncomfortable, because now it's crossed the music boundary, and it's bled into your everyday life and your everyday existence, and is even started influencing how you react and how you act around people and how you act around opposition, how you act around debate, how you act around differing opinions. Once it bridges that gap, that's how you know you have done something wrong. There is something wrong and it needs to be corrected. Which brings me to my next point. Kendrick stans. You, what the fuck do y'all call yourselves? Ken folk? K-Dot, I'm sorry, bro. I know. And I'll preface this by saying I have said many times that Kendrick Lamar is my baby daddy. I have weekend custody. I think. I can't. Sis, do I have weekend custody of Kendrick? Or is that you? Do I have him on weekdays? Thank you for the silver star, couch potato. I appreciate it. Yes, shout out to King Dada. That's him. That's the first person I thought about. Shout out to King Dada. He's a Drake fan. He's like, oh my god, yeah, I don't understand why y'all don't like Drake, man. And we're just like, we ain't fucking with that nigga. You can keep him. Keep his little light-skinned ass. We don't want him. And that's that. And we're still friends at the end of the day. We're not at each other's throats trying to kill each other. We're not calling each other names. We're not insulting each other's intelligence. Because at the end of the day, it's just people who have different likes and opinions and music tastes. It's literally like people arguing who their favorite teams are. I'm a Redskins fan, y'all. The Redskins are on the same level as the Wizards, which is fucking ironic because they're both in Washington. The Redskins have not been good since Clinton Portis was their quarterback, y'all. Okay, that's not fair. I'll say, they haven't been good since RG3, since Robert Griffin III. Yes, I can acknowledge that my team is absolute dog cheeks and still support them at the same time. The Ravens is because now I'm Baltimore adjacent. I'm in proximity. So I'm in Ravens territory, y'all. Also, I'm a goth. I love Ravens. I love that dark gothic shit. So yeah, Ravens all day, every day. I remember the Joe Flacco days. I remember the fucking the Ray Lewis days. Yeah. Trash. Trash. And I'll put an asterisk. I'll put an asterisk. Because they will literally sit there and dominate the whole fucking season. The moment the championships come, all of a sudden these niggas don't know how to hold a motherfucking ball. These niggas can't complete a fucking pass. These niggas start throwing goddamn interceptions and giving niggas free touchdowns and free first downs and free overtime. Like, and then Lamar Jackson, that nigga for some reason just forgets how to throw the ball for some reason at the end of the championships. And I'm sitting there like, nigga, your whole just Derrick Henry's out here fucking sending people to the shadow realm. You have an open. But then, but nah, the nigga's just gonna forget that. He's just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do no more. I'm sorry, Baltimore. Y'all, L. Lamar, L. I can have teams that are ass or that, display piss poor qualities and still criticize them when they're wrong, still acknowledge them when they have fucked up. And I'm not gonna get bent out of shape if somebody's like, oh, the Redskins are trash, all the Ravens are shit. Because I know, I agree with you. However, I rep my city, bro. Is hail to the Redskins. And I know people are like, actually, they're called the Commanders now. Fuck you. They're the Redskins. Eat it. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Call the PC police on me? What are those pussies gonna do? Nothing. Motherfucker. That's the problem, though. Some of these fans are true indeed fanatics. It can't be subjective or objective. We do have a custody plan. We do. I can't remember if we have to share with Whitney. Yeah, we do. We share with Whitney. But by this point, Kendrick stands, I'm calling y'all out. Y'all gotta chill out. Y'all really gotta chill out. If somebody tells you that they're a fan of Drake, your first response should not be to insult them repeatedly and profusely without merit or proper judge on said person's character. Especially when, like, we'll get to it. Fuck it. Let me see. Oh, okay, so this is my notes from later. So that whole video sums up D-Fran is frustrated because he's getting roasted in the chat. They're saying some pretty, like, not so great things. Some of them he couldn't even read out loud because they included slurs. Not racial slurs, but, like, the R word. You can't say the R word. And we don't want to be ableist here. But, whatever. I bully fucking idiots so much, it should be ableism. We gotta be upfront with them as well so we don't become hypocrites and hive-minded. And that's what I've never been, is a hive-minder. I've never just blindly followed somebody or a group of people or just because they told me to. Because one, I don't, it's not like I'm not gonna let somebody give me orders, I guess, if that makes any sense. It sounds very belligerent, I know, but like goth, spirit of rebellion, nonconformist. The last thing I'm going to do is blindly follow somebody and do something reckless because they said so. Because we're going off of the trust me bro merit, or like they're awful so it's okay. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna judge character first. I'm going to look at their body language. I'm gonna listen to how they speak. I'm gonna listen to their word choice. I'm gonna look at the small, subtle changes in inflection and body movement and tone. I'm looking at the small things to judge character. Because it's the ones, it's those little flickers of their truest self that shine through that lets you know who a person truly is. And I'm telling you, if you people watch enough, you'll see it. Let me give a few examples. You see this when somebody trips over something, when somebody bumps their elbow against something, when somebody drops something on the ground, or when they accidentally bump into somebody. It's those little small micro interactions, whether they display some sort of irritation, whether they barely move a muscle, whether they're super angry and respond with disgust. It's those moments that I look for, because those moments cannot be hidden or controlled by bias. That is instinct shining through. That is instinctual response to causation that is shining through in those moments. And that is how I judge people's character. I look at their instinct. How do you respond in rapid fire situations? How do you respond to dropping your phone on the ground? How do you respond to almost tripping down the stairs? It's stuff like that that truly determines somebody's character. Because they could say whatever the fuck they want. But it's those moments where they're not thinking, they're not using their brain. They're operating off of already instilled, pre-coded genetic, like DNA. This is branded in our DNA. The survival instinct. And that's how I judge people's character. So, let me see. Yeah, so to conclude, he talks about it in detail. He explains that the whole live, the way it was set up, he didn't necessarily know all of the people that were on that panel, nor did he really fuck with them that much. They were just like, hey, we're just gonna bring these guys from a different panel, and he's gonna bring his boys. This was all set up by Chick Smooth. Chick Smooth was the one who set this up, not D-Fran. Let me just clarify. I'm going to say it one more again so y'all can hear me this time. Chig Smooth organized the panel, not D-Fran. So go ahead. We're going to let that sink in. It was Chig's. It was his panel, y'all. He was the one who sent out the contacts and was like, this person, this person, this person. Wardu, his job was to get the people that they were going to bring. And Chiggs, he was going to bring who he was going to bring. And D-Fran and Challz had already been communicating back and forth on Twitter even before this was even set up. And so when Challz was asked, hey, we're going to have a panel. Chig Smooth is hosting a panel and it's going to have a bunch of people on there. Do you want to join? And he said yes. Jay Roebuck wasn't even supposed to be there. And the only reason that he was even brought in was because Jason could not make it. And they said that he did come into the live at one point to try to get in. But that's the problem. The only reason he wasn't able to get in was because it was already full. The chat that they were in did not allow more than 9 people in a room at a time. So he was, and if he wanted to get in, somebody on that panel had to drop off. So that's why Jason was not able to join, because he came late, because Wardu gave him the wrong time, like a fucking idiot. I don't know, a little better organizational skills on that one. I'm gonna be critical. Yeah, organization skills could have been way better. Also, 9 people on a panel is that is chaos waiting to happen. I don't know what y'all were expecting with that. 9 people on a panel. 9 different niggas with 9 different opinions. I'm surprised, genuinely, that the stream even went the way that it did. Because 9 dudes in one fucking, I don't know, because I don't know. I've seen business calls with way more people too. And my driving school classes, it was kind of set up like this, but it was a Zoom call. And it was a bunch of people in there. But on a public panel where you're all content creators, 9 people, unless you are all close friends on some RDC world type shit, 9 people on a panel is nuts, especially if you're talking about hip hop. You got me till like, well, hey Kylie, good to see you. Glad you can make it. Until you walk the dogs. Oh, the babies. Don't want to sit on or watch a 9-person panel, even if it's all my favorite people. So yeah, like, I only did it because, like, I don't know, it was relatively tame. Like, geez, like I was genuinely just like, oh really? This was it? That was it? Like, it was kind of seemed like a normal panel to me. Couch Potato, thank you for the jewels, bro. So, let me see. Key point. Oh, another point of information. According to Chigs and Defran and Wordu, I did say that right. Okay. According to them, Koala T was also supposed to be on the panel along with Jason, but for some reason, Koala was not able to make it to the panel. I'm assuming he ignored it entirely because he is a certified Drake hater, I guess, or something. I don't fucking know. But yeah, he was also supposed to be in attendance to this very panel along with Jason and Challz Brown. So it would have been evenly matched. And it was revealed that Jason was, in fact, the one who sent the message to Challz to get out of the live. The call did, in fact, come from inside the house. Jason was sitting in the, I guess, the lobby or whatever, because how StreamYard works is when the person joins the studio, they're not immediately put into the chat like it's Discord. They have to sit in kind of like a waiting room, and the host of that specific studio has to give them access to the play. But if it's already full, there's nothing they can do about it. So you're kind of just sitting there watching in the background in kind of this fucking web Zoom call limbo, let's call it. Oh, okay, that's just Amazon. So here's a point that kind of raised an eyebrow, was that Jason and Koala were supposed to be on the panel, right? They did not go onto the panel, or at least Jason was about to, but then he watched the panel and then texted Challz on and told him not to join, or told him to get out. So why? Like, I don't know, like genuinely, like why? Did he just assume that everybody in the call were Drake fans? Is that why he told Challz to get out? Because he said that he saw like 7 different, about 7 Drake fans. That was his words, right? On his live that he did. Koala was, in fact, supposed to be a guest. That was because I was looking at it with a side eye, but when Chigs confirmed it, I was just like, okay, yeah. And I can't. There's nothing really I could say to that. It's his panel. He's the one who organized it. And Chigs, I don't know. He's always been pretty neutral, but he's been definitely highly critical of a lot of the OB hoes in that camp, specifically academics and not Charlemagne, but yeah, no, he doesn't have he has a problem with Ack because Ack roasted the fuck out of him recently. Ack says he roasted the absolute fuck out of Chigs for literally no reason. I think he was just, that's what academics does. He crashes out on people. And Chigs was like, yeah, no, it's fuck you. It's fuck you forever, bro. Like, you said I look like a chipmunk. It's fuck you. But here's my thing, is that why would you just why text him that while the live is going on? Like, At that point, you're already locked in. Like, you're right there on the panel. And what the I don't know, what the fuck would that have looked like if he had just backed out? Like, if he just randomly backed out of the stream for no reason. What would that look like on his end? Because of what? Supposed Drake fans? Suspected Drake fans? Because you're afraid of some sort of opposition? What the fuck would Challz have looked like if he just dropped from the panel without an explanation? Being as prominent of a YouTuber as he is. That would look highly suspicious. Like, genuinely highly suspicious. And even if he backed out, would not have also been good on him. It would not have been. So I get it. I get why he stayed. He was like, nah, fuck it, bro. I'm here. I'm gonna thug it out. And like, I can respect that. But here's the thing, it's just like, I don't even, because I'm comparing and contrasting dates and also notes and also bullet points, because Jason was in fact there, but he couldn't get into the live because it was too many people already. I'm trying to remember how the fuck. Oh, that's right, because Jason didn't show up originally, so they brought Jay on at the last minute. That's what that was. So I'm still confused as to just like, I mean, I get it. You're warning him. You could have just been like, bro, you know, stand your ground, be careful. There's a lot of Drake people in there. You know, be cool. Come with facts. You're good. You got this. Words of encouragement, maybe. Like, I don't know why it's like, oh no, they trying to line you up. You get out of there, bro. Like, then that's gonna that's instigating. That's instigating. I'm sorry. That is textbook instigation. That's me personally, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect. You could have just been like, bro, be on your P's and Q's. Make sure you're watching your six, because there's hella Drake niggas in this fucking call. He could have just been like, you know, act cool. You got it. But be vigilant. That's what should have been texted. That's what he should have said, because he's already on the panel. And yeah, and when you're in a professional environment like that, you have to be professional. These men do this shit for their job. This is their job. This is not just something that they get on and do for the fuck of it. This is how they make their income. And so the proper advice would have been, hey, there's dudes on your flank that are Drake fans. Be cool. And that would have been it. We wouldn't have had all this bullshit now. We wouldn't have had Challz being like, oh, they set me up. They lined me up. They was trying to make me look stupid. They was trying to pull one over on your boy. No. That's not what happened at all. But we'll get to that. And I'm so angry that my lipstick is it's bleeding. But it's okay, because we're thugging it out. Fuck it. We move on to part 2. The second live stream that I watched. This one was a lot more painful to watch, just because this was the one that Miss Hummus was on. This one I was listening to every point that was being made. There were points I agreed with, and there were points I highly disagreed with. And we're gonna read the notes here. Miss Hummus joins the next live. Key point: the moment Defran brings Miss Hummus into the chat, the first thing he asks is, do you think we set up Challz Brown? To which she responds, no. And she also says, I don't think that Challz was set up. However, I think that Challz did not do the one thing that Black people are supposed to do when they're invited to groups. Who's going to be there? Which I agree with. I agree with that 100%. That's on you, Challz. When you go to a panel of any kind, bro, you've been on this internet. You're not new to this internet shit, my dude. You're not. And just with any conference call that you're going on, if it's business related, you want to know who the fuck's going to be there. It's different in corporate because you're never going to know who the fuck these people are. You're probably never going to see them again, ever. But in this space where you're meeting with other creators that have prominent platforms like this, you need to know who's going to be there, especially if there's going to be 9 people. 9. Even if we were going out and like meeting people in person, like if we were going out and meeting and rendezvousing at a spot with like 8 different other people, wouldn't your first gut reaction be to inquire who's gonna be there? You want to know because you want to make sure that you know what you're going up against. You make sure you know what you're dealing with. So, yeah, no. And he took accountability for it. He said, he was like, that's on me. That's my fault. Yeah, it was dumb. I'll say it. It was dumb. Challz was already going back and forth with Defran on Twitter before the panel happened, which is likely why he was chosen as a guest to be on the panel. I'm writing down notes like as I'm reacting. Ms. Hummus does not like J Roebuck. Does not like J Roebuck. They called him Drake's accountant, which is what Challz calls J Roebuck. He even vocalized it in the panel at the very beginning. He did vocalize that he does in fact refer to J Roebuck as Drake's accountant. And like, I don't know, it's not like he's wrong. He's not. And Jay even said that he was like, I fucking laughed at it. I thought it was funny. He's like, what was I gonna say? No. That shit was funny. But it was a jab. So from here on, I'm taking notes. Oh, hold on. Let me see. I'm trying to remember what the context was. Oh, she was talking about Legend, that guy. He was okay. He made some pretty good points, but he seemed kind of bland to me. I don't know. That's what I thought, at least. I thought he was kind of bland, but he did make some really good points, especially during the who can be a journalist portion of that was the conversation where they talked about journalism and like what qualifies as journalism and who can be a journalist. Like, do you have to go to college to do you have to have a degree to be a journalist, was basically what they were arguing. Panel wasn't talking about Drake, but instead was talking about Game and Jay-Z. And that's true. They were talking about the Game's album because the Game was about to drop. They were also talking about Jay-Z and Rock Nation with this lawsuit, the Stake one. Drake was mentioned in passing because the single that Game put out was in fact featuring Drake, and the Stake lawsuit did involve Drake. So yeah, but they were mainly just discussing the legitimacy of the lawsuit and whether or not it tied back to Rock Nation, because that was the conspiracy that had been floating around the internet, was that the Stake lawsuits were like a ploy by Rock Nation or some bullshit like that. Jason assumed that everybody on the panel was a Drake fan, then messaged Challz Brown behind the scenes. I talked about this before in detail. There was an even split. There were about 5 Kendrick fans or 5 anti-Drake people in there, and the rest were all pro-Drake. Pretty fucking even in my eyes. I don't know, it doesn't seem like too much of a gangbang. By this point, chat is not having it with her. Notice completely dominating the conversation. Other panelists are not allowed to get words in edgewise. At one point, she says, "I'm not a stan. I don't hate either of these niggas." Contradicts herself in the next sentence by saying, "I hate Drake because he's suing freedom of speech," which I agree with. That's not the one of many reasons why I have an extreme loathing for that cornball, but that's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. Follows up with, I'm not a stan, I don't care. To which Wardy responds, you brought it up. She says, I did not mention Drake specifically, I mentioned his fans. To which I responded, in red, contradiction detected. I move on. She says, I'm not a stan for the third time. That was just pattern recognition at that point. She says you have to grow up from the streets to be a part of hip hop. I put a question mark on that one because that was essentially the discussion that was being had. At one point, Defran asks, so you have to be from the streets to be hip hop, to which Miss Hummus responds, yes. That's an interesting one because that's a yes and no. It's a yes and no. Because hip hop, to me, this is my opinion here, and I might be on a bit of a soapbox here. I might be a bit of a minority here, but hip hop to me is not about the struggle. It's not just about the struggle. It's about the triumph and the perseverance through that struggle. And I wrote this down. I have other notes, like, because I was at work and I needed to make sure that I had all my shit ready. Here we go. Aha! Hip hop is about struggle. I disagree. Hip hop is about prosperity through struggle, turning trauma into beauty, pain into excellence, adversity into profit. That is what hip hop is, in my opinion. And that's what we rapped about. I mean, shit, you can't even say with fucking hip hop. Because it was blues, it was R&B, it was country, it was rock and roll. It was always taking our pain and making something beautiful out of it. Taking what used to be thrown at us as insults and turning it into something timeless that we could pass down from generation to generation. Taking something that was used to demean and degrade our people and making it a casual colloquialism within our culture and gatekeeping it from the rest of them, though they've gotten a little bold as of late. When I feel like we need to start chin checking a lot of these fucking mouth breathers. But I digress. Hip hop is about overcoming said struggle. And yes, they did make their songs while they were going through it, but the whole point was not that they were struggling. The point was that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And even though they were struggling, there was still hope. There was still community. There was still togetherness. There was still power. There was magic in our fucking community. Magic in the arts, in written word, spoken word, music production, instrumentation, dancing. It started with slavery. It started with slavery. Black people being put through the worst crime against humanity known to man. And I don't give a fuck what America or Israel thinks. Y'all motherfuckers should be ashamed of yourselves. Really? Voting against chattel slavery being a crime against humanity? Why am I not fucking surprised? And don't you come at me with them anti-Semitic comments. Don't you come at me with that, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. No, fuck you, Israel. It's fuck you till the day I die. After I saw that statistic, I was like, yeah, no, get him out of here. Get Ben Netanyahu. Get him the fuck out of there, bro. Because he does not give a shit about America. So all these people that are like, oh my God, why are you being so Israelite? Why are you being anti-Semitic? No, I'm not. They don't even care. They don't even think slavery is a crime against humanity. The slavery that Black Americans went through, that African American slaves went through. They said, no, light work. Not that great. Not that big of a deal. So, yeah, no, it's fuck you. And I'm a goth, so it's always been fuck the government. It's all of them. Fuck them. Fuck all of them. They're all on the Epstein list. Like, I don't know why y'all are trying to pick and choose. Like, it's not everybody. Like, hell, Pusha T was even mentioned in proximity to those motherfuckers. It 9 times out of 10, they are all connected in some way, shape, or form, because that's what Hollywood was built off of, is connections. Who you know, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who may or may not be in the Epstein files. Like, you know the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? Yeah, no, this is 6 degrees. This 6 degrees of Jeffrey Epstein. It's literally all of them. But we continue. I digress. I will step off of my soapbox, okay? Because even though I am very new to hip hop, I have seen how hip hop has evolved over time. Because it started with us. And that's the part that I did agree on. That's the part I agreed on. It did start with us. However, it's transcended us. And there's a lot more of us around the world now that are, accepting who they are. Because a lot of us back then traveled around the world when we were finally free. We went north, we went south, we went east, we went west. We were all over the place. And so, yeah, there's a lot of us everywhere else now, because that's just how we are. We're just magic. We don't die, we multiply. So at the hour and 24 mark, I was getting a little frustrated. There's a lot of cutting off, a lot of over talking, a lot of escalated voices. Nobody was allowed to get a word in. 126.13 is the apex of this. There's a lot of shouting, actual anger. There's a lot more swearing, a lot more insults being thrown. I did put underneath that there was a lot of over-talking, more over-talking, frustrating. I am more like visibly frustrated at this point. And at one point she's like, I'm trying to have an actual conversation while completely over talking and domineering the conversation. I'm sorry. I gotta call a spade a spade. I gotta call you out for that. That was it. Low key, it was kind of getting on my nerves, but I was like, I gotta get through it, get the context of the situation, see what the fuck's going on. Also, it was getting me through work, so I wasn't complaining. These are critiques. Defran and Wordu got maybe 10 words. I can count on 2 hands, not even. I can count on 1 hand how many words they were able to get in. And honestly, I applaud Defran and Wordu. Wordu was being kind of snarky, because at that point he was being a little snarky. He was being a little smarmy. I could tell. A lot of what he said was dripping in sarcasm. I am fluent in sarcasm, which means I can detect it when I hear it. So, Wordu, you are, and I remember vocally saying multiple times that Wordu is a sarcastic asshole. And I stand by what I said. You are kind of a smarmy bitch. And does that mean that I don't like you? No, I don't know you. I'm only judging based off of what I've been hearing. And so I'm not judging your character. I'm just saying that in that conversation, you were a little sarcastic. I could see how that would tick somebody off. Yeah, you were kind of emulating Lupe energy. Yeah, extreme Lupe energy. We move on. Wordu asks a question relevant to the point. Miss Hummus responds very aggressively. I have the quote here. I'm not going to read it because I want to make money on this video. At this point, this is about the hour and 30-minute mark. There's a lot of shouting / crashing out because of Drake. Completely valid in my opinion, but that's just me. I don't like Drake. But considering the fact that it wasn't that serious, I don't know. I didn't think that in that situation, in that conversation, the crash out was warranted. Like, I get it, you're passionate. But there's a way to say everything. There's a way to do everything. And when dealing with people in a business setting, I would just, have a little bit of class when you're having discussions and conversations, and try to keep them from escalating into full on screaming matches and name calling, unnecessary name calling, because that's not how we have discussions. That's not. We can be better than this. We can do way better, y'all. Um, Now I'm gonna get back on my soapbox for this. There was a lot of behavior in that live that I found very concerning slash disturbing, and I am addressing it right now. Y'all got to do better. You do. You have to do better. You have to understand. You got to learn how to engage with people that have different opinions than you. We can't all sit in our echo chambers and regurgitate the same opinions over and over again. Because when somebody even so much as attempts to challenge said opinion, suddenly your entire world shatters. Your world view, your viewpoint shatters, and you have no idea what to do from there. We have to learn how to agree to disagree again. People keep saying barbershop talks, because a lot of times none of them niggas agree with each other. They would be in there talking about some Larry Bird was the greatest NBA player of all time. Or fucking like, Yao Ming should have been famous instead of Michael Jordan. Yao Ming should have been in Michael Jordan's spot. But none of them niggas believed each other. They would be arguing and being like, oh, whatever, you voted, you just talking your shit. And then they would stand on it too. They stood on business, and they would give their facts, their opinions, and they would give their feelings. And at the end of the day, they were still cool. They were still friends. They were still homies. They were still co-workers. They were able to have different opinions and still be friends and not want to kill each other after. When did we adopt this white people mentality of low emotional intelligence and low impulse control? We gotta stop this shit, y'all. We're better than this. Y'all are better than this. We need to actually learn how to have a fucking discussion with people. Sit down and have an intelligent conversation that doesn't devolve into shouting and name calling and unnecessary racial slurs. Like, I should not have had to hear the N-word as many times as I heard in that goddamn live stream, Miss Hummus. You could have chilled out on that. You could have chilled out on that. By the fourth time, I was like, okay, you made your point, sis. You made your point. We can move on. We can just, and she said it again. Okay, no, it's fine. We're just young thugging it, I guess. But people, we gotta learn how to have emotionally intelligent conversations, as well as actually intelligent conversations with people. If there's somebody who supports an artist that we don't like, our first reaction should not be to tear them a new asshole. No. You sit down and you have a discussion with them, and you get their viewpoint. You ask them, why do you like Drake? Why do you support him knowing what he's done? Why do you listen to his music? Knowing what he's done to the culture, knowing, his viewpoints about Black people, about Black women specifically. Why do you support that? And you listen to their viewpoints. You may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, you will know and understand why they think the way they think. And you will be able to get into their minds a lot easier. But it's just, I don't know. I'm just trying. I want to do this basic concept that was taught to me way back in elementary school. Y'all remember the golden rule? Y'all don't even have to y'all can go ahead and say it along with me. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. The golden rule. Love as Jesus loved. You think Jesus was up there hanging with those boring ass people in the Vatican. No, Jesus was in them streets, y'all, having those barbershop discussions with these raging lunatics. And did they disagree with him? Yes. Did Jesus call them out of their name and scream at them and call them stupid? No. He was like, all right, young blood, you say what you say. Let me offer you a different perspective. And then he gave them a different perspective. And then he dropped knowledge. He dropped wisdom. He used that as an opportunity to teach people, to show them that there is a different alternative. I'm not telling you what to do with your free will. All I am doing is telling you that there is an alternate path that you can take. Whether you take it or not is up to you, because you do, in fact, have free will. And that was that. It was literally the many are called, few are chosen. He went in search of the lost, the broken, the outcasts, the ones who felt like they didn't belong, the lepers, the gamblers, the tax collectors, the ones that society pushed away. That's who he went after. Not to indoctrinate them or try and bribe them into being a Christian, but to show them that this was not their only destiny. That this life of debauchery and sin and lechery was not their end. There is another path that you can take. That's the point. And so that's why I always try, and it's been to my downfall a lot, and it's to give people the benefit of the doubt. I respect people. I give people basic respect on a surface level until I start seeing patterns of behavior that I've, one, recognized are toxic, and two, are actively harmful to the people around them. The way I made a post saying that I'm sorry that I crashed out on you so hard, Lupe. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I fucking read you the way that I did. Was it justified? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Did my research have merit? Absolutely. I used you as an example, brother. The things that happened in that live stream still happened, whether I liked the people involved or not. I read that situation objectively. And so, and the other reason why I'm apologizing is because 8 hours of investigative research and 8 hours of being live and reacting and giving my insight and giving my opinion and giving my words of advice and my wisdom went literally unnoticed. Hella people watched it, but yeah, for the clicks, for the views. But, so did half the other internet or whatever, and all they were using were clips. I don't think any of them wanted to actually sit down and go through that entire live stream. And see, well, I'm going to tie it back to the discussion that they had on this panel. That's what journalism is. It's not using clips. It's not getting partial context on the shit that you're researching. It's deep diving into the source material to gain full insight into the situation and the circumstances around you. Because you're in pursuit of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And so you're going to dig into the facts. You're going to dig into sources, references. You're going to have different points of view. You're going to compare and contrast those viewpoints to see who matches and who doesn't. That's investigative journalism at its core, is working overtime in pursuit of the truth. Because that's what it's always been about. not your modern media journalism. That's different altogether. They're not about giving the truth. They're about spreading bullshit to the masses, distracting. But true journalism is about getting a deeper perspective, getting a different insight, getting a different viewpoint, going into territory with, people who disagree with you, people who view you differently, people who may look at you a certain way, and getting their insight, getting the truth and nothing but the truth. Because what's the best way to get information than from the real fucking world? Going out there and getting into it, contacting people online, looking at, and on the internet, it's similar, but it's a little different. You watch the whole live streams. You watch multiple live streams. You watch a couple random ones first to get some context on their character, see repeated behaviors. Then you go into the source material that you're currently investigating so you can look at it from a neutral standpoint. Because I don't know anything about these guys. I've never seen these dudes before in my life. Literally never. But I didn't want to judge them based off of the fact that, of a rumor that was started by Challz. And that is a rumor, by the way. I would even go as far as to say that is a straight up lie. After what I've seen, and after the investigative journalism that I've done, I can confirm without a shadow of a doubt that they did not line you up, Challz. I don't know why you guys are spreading this narrative that you were like set up by these people, but no, that's not what happened. It's not what happened at all, actually. Like, you literally pissed off Jay so much that he said he is never doing another panel again online. He said never. He said that shit literally, like, it killed it for him. He said he did not want to be on a panel ever again. And when I went back and watched the live, all the times where you were saying that, people were being hostile towards you about, Drake conversations, you were the one that initiated the conversations, my homie. Like, I don't know what you want. And even then, you responded you were just a little hostile. Not even gonna lie. Made it obvious that you didn't trust any of them niggas. And even then, they still gave you the benefit of the doubt. They still tried to moderate the chat. They still gave everybody their time to speak. They still, agreed and disagreed with whatever and gave their insight where needed. I'm sorry, Challz. I can't ride behind that. After what I've seen, I cannot agree with that statement. It just logically, it is just not correct. I won't go as far as to say, I'll retract that statement. I won't go as far as to say you're lying. I'm just saying that this is not what you think it is. You're misreading, and it's a little, the people, the comments and the fans are only exacerbating the situation, because they want a martyr to collectively dogpile. But I am not like that. Like I said, I'm a goth. I pursue the truth. Call me Schrodinger's goth. For those who know ball, you'll understand what that means. But yeah, no, from everything that I've watched on everybody's, I watched Jason's live, I watched Charles's live, I watched D-Fran's live, I watched the panel that took place. I watched the actual panel where this drama stemmed from. And without a shadow of a doubt, nothing happened. Like, Challz and Jay got into it a couple times. It was only because, one, Challz was initiating the conversation with Jay, and Jay, being a debater, he listens to points that are made, and he keeps mental notes in his head. So then when he gets the chance to speak, he's like, can I clarify some things? Can I touch on these points? He's not approaching the situation like a stan. He's approaching it as a debater. He is sitting here like he is waiting for them to make their points so he can analyze and give his counter argument if he disagrees with it. But for the most part, he agreed with everything that everybody was saying. There were just key points that he pointed out were contradictions, and he provided logical facts. He provided logical information. He's I can understand why he would piss some people off, because he comes off he's borderline arrogant, but he's very confident. He's very New York. He's New York smart. And the New York smart ones are the ones that will piss people off the most, because they are not afraid to be the smartest nigga in the room. He's almost on Lupe's level. He's not quite there yet. But he's about halfway there. He's like about a 5 or a 6. I'll give him that. But Jay provided counterpoints to Challz Brown, after, because Challz had plenty of time to speak many times. They gave him his time. Nobody interrupted him. Nobody interjected. They all heard him out. Fucking Philly, Swain, Ray, and Legend didn't even really talk that much. Like, hell, Chigs didn't even really talk that much. It was mainly Challz, Jay, D-Fran, and Wordu, and like maybe Legend every now and then. But for the most part, yeah, it was only about 5 people that were actively engaging in the conversations that were being had. Like there were parts where, people would chime in from here and there, where they were talking about like the Rock Nation stuff, the Jay-Z stuff, the I can't even remember the LLC. I can't remember the fucking name of it, but it has to do with the state contract. So like they gave their points on that, and for the most part it was pretty tame. Like the only thing that Jay and Challz really got into was the whole the sales versus talent debate that they had. And it was in fact a debate, or at least it was supposed to be a debate. I was trying to, I was hoping that it would be a debate, but Challz was like visibly agitated and nothing happened. Nobody called him out of his name. Nobody said that nobody called you stupid. Nobody made you feel like inferior. Nobody belittled you. All they said was, your information is incorrect. That's it. He said, you are wrong. And somehow those 3 words set off a chain reaction of fucking vitriol and hurt feelings and arguments, because there's a difference between a debate and an argument. Debates, people hear each other out. They listen to each other's viewpoints. They take those points into consideration. If they hear something that they wish to counter argue or refute, they will refute it. And you, as the person, as the debater, you're not going to sit there and get butthurt just because somebody challenged your opinions or your facts. You're going to make sure that you're prepared with facts to back up your facts. That's how debates work. People do research on their stuff. Jay came prepared. Challz did not. And it did not look good for him. It did not make you look good at all. It made you look very argumentative, very irritable, kind of snarky, because I'm dead ass, like, out of everybody in the live, the only person he was really gunning for out of all those people was Jay. And it's because they have a prior history, y'all. It's because Challz refers to Jay Roebuck as Drake's accountant. And yes, the Drake, is it corny? Like, is Drake corny? Absolutely. Do I understand or necessarily agree with the Drake fans? Hell no. Like I said, I am a professional Drake hater. There should be no Aubrey playing in this household. The fuck? You fucked that up when you sued, nigga. And also, I'm not forgiving you for that blackface. That was criminal. You should not have done that. You were old enough to know what that was. You claim to be black so much. If you were really in touch with your black side, you would have known that blackface is a no-go. There's two things you gotta abide by in the black household. Three things. We don't use the hard ER. We don't wear blackface, and we don't hang ourselves from trees. Three. That's it. That's it, Drake. That's all you had to abide by. Three. That's it. And you couldn't even you did all of them. You did, well, not all of them because you didn't exactly hang yourself because you're still alive. You did two of those. You used the hard ER multiple times. And you wore blackface with a Jim Crow hoodie. I can't forgive that, son. Just like I can't forgive R. Kelly doing God knows what to those girls and those women. Sorry, girls. Those were not women. Those were girls. I can't listen to his music. It's like with Drake. I didn't really listen to his music that much anyways. I wasn't a Drake fan. I didn't grow up listening to Drake. I don't know, is R&B wise, I'm more of a fucking Chris Brown fan than anything, and that should tell you something. And I don't even like Chris Brown that much. It's just specific songs from specific artists that I like that just so happen to be sung by these niggas. I know what Chris Brown did to Rihanna. Every time, and if I hear fucking No Guidance on the radio, that's got Chris Brown and Drake on it. How I feel about them is irrelevant. The song still slaps, y'all. No Guidance is a banger. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Does that mean that I'm Drake affiliated? Hell no. Two things can be true at the same time. I can sit here and acknowledge these Drake fans as people because that's what they are. They are living, breathing human beings who just so happen to have a different opinion, and also be like, I don't like Drake. I don't fuck with Drake. Drake is corny. Drake is a weirdo. Drake is a fucking goofball. He's a vulture to this culture. I agree. Two things can exist. And it's the ones that can't differentiate that. They can't differentiate the truth from the absolute truth. Like, because, you know, why believe the truth when the lie is more entertaining? So, there was a lot of elitism that was taking place in these discussions, not in the panel, but specifically in the Miss Hummus panel. I wrote elitist attitude detected. It was very old head coded, not even gonna front. It was very like, oh, how you gonna tell me I'm older than you, boy? You don't know nothing. Y'all been out the pussy 2 minutes. Y'all think y'all know shit. It was very old head barbershop talk, but it was, considering what was said before, it didn't have the same vibe. Okay, these are more notes from that live. Assumes that they don't know the origins of hip hop. At one point she was, Lord, like she was acting exactly like Lupe. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I'm gonna keep it a $1.50. It was one small portion in there, but I'm like, I tried to fast forward, but I'm like, nope, you can't skip it. Journalism, in the spirit of journalism, we have to be Icarus and fly to the sun. It's not even too close to the sun. It's fly directly into the sun for the pursuit of the truth. Oh yeah, and this is where she calls him an Uncle Ruckus ass nigga again, but calls Wardu an Uncle Ruckus ass nigga this time. The chat is mixed. There's people in there that are, you know, obviously backing her and Koala and all of them. And then everybody else is like, why is she so aggressive? Why is the need? Why so mad? It's only game. There was a point that was made that said you have to be from America to be hip hop. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't. Yes, hip hop started in America. However, I believe that hip hop has expanded and evolved all around the world, because if it hasn't, then hip hop artists wouldn't be touring around the world constantly. Kendrick wouldn't have been in New Mexico. He wouldn't have been in Australia. Drake wouldn't have been in like Germany and fucking Japan and Canada. Like, hip hop is worldwide now. There are hip hop enthusiasts and hip hop fans and people who grew up in hip hop all over the world. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a little gatekeepy to say that you have to be from America to be hip hop. Because yes, it started in America. It started with us. But like I said, it's expanded. It's all over the world now. Can't just be like, oh, you have to be from America to be hip hop. Like that. That's like saying you have to speak English to live in America. Like, come on now. Have y'all seen New York City? It's a melting pot of people from different cultures. Like, you got fucking Indians, Asians, you got Guatemalans, you got Germans, you got Persians, you've got fucking Iranians, you've got like, come on now, black people, Jamaicans, Africans, like, melting pot. And there's a lot of the motherfuckers that can't speak English, but they know how to communicate. Damn it, their families learned. Like, yes, it's the universal language, but considering how many cultures exist in this country alone compared to the rest of the world, saying something like, oh, you're in America, speak English, that's kind of ignorant. I gotta be real. That's very short-sighted. It's not very considerate either of, the struggles that they've likely gone through just to get to this country and have a better life, because the value of the American dollar to them is worth more than it is to us, because our value in the American dollar has decreased while the rest of the world's value in the American dollar has increased, which means they're willing to do more. It's desperation. They're willing to do whatever it takes to obtain that money because it's worth more to them than it is to us. So saying you have to be from America to be hip hop is alienating a massive portion of the hip hop audience, because the hip hop audience is not exclusive to America. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the GNX tour, like I just said. If hip hop was exclusive only to America, you wouldn't have seen Kendrick in Mexico and Canada and Australia. Like, I don't know. It is what it is. By this point, the energy is very mismatched. I myself reacting am visibly uncomfortable. One is on 12, and Defren and Wardu are barely at a 2. I did watch the entire thing. At one point I had to like shut myself up, because I'm sorry, once them N-words started flying, I was a little concerned. I was getting very concerned. But I understood the context. I'm just saying that it didn't have to be thrown out like ninja stars. It was just wham! N-word, 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 just fucking Oprah. You get an N-word, you get an N-word. I'm just like, bro, stop it. We had this problem with Young Thug. Don't stop it. Stop it. Because y'all are just giving the white people more fuel to use against us. God damn it. This is why nobody respects us. Is because we can't even have civil fucking discussions without it going off the rails. And then the white people see the clips on Twitter and they're like, oh, it's the usual suspects acting like that again. They're all chimping out. Look at the blacks. And they can't get along in their own communities, but they want us to show their people. We're trying to conform to you people, but you guys can't even respect yourselves. Come on now. Why would we give them more fuel to throw at our people? Especially when talking about the culture. How can we elevate and advance the culture if we're regressing socially and we're regressing as a culture? We're not willing to hear out other perspectives and other opinions because we immediately see them as hostile, even though we've never met these people, even though we've never had conversations with these people, which is why I will give Miss Hummus credit. She did, in fact, go and have somewhat of a conversation with these two. It mellowed out by the end. Like, they were all chill or whatever, and we're having a discussion at the end, but like the first like 40 minutes of it was just crashing out. Y'all really did not help your side. I get it. You guys are passionate about your music, you're passionate about your artists, you're passionate about the culture, but this was not the way to do it, y'all. We could have approached this from a much better and a much more mature angle than spamming insults and being disrespectful. Because now we've only given the Drake stans more fuel to use against us. See, and they're gonna start roping me in this shit. Like I'm a part, like I say, because I got Kendrick videos all up on my shit. They're gonna see my most popular videos of Kendrick analysis, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, she's one of those. She's one of those K-bots." No, I am just a bitch who happens to listen to some Kendrick Lamar. Okay, god damn it. And it's like, and nobody. It would have been one thing, right? I would have been 100% on Challz's side. I would have been like 100%. Oh yeah, they lined you up. If they were throwing in snide remarks every now and then, if they were trying to constantly catch Challz off guard by asking him questions that, he's not necessarily informed about, if they were like alley-ooping questions all over the panel to try to make him look stupid, if they were clowning him for his opinions, then I could sit there and be like, yeah, they lined you up. They really set you up and made you look foolish. But none of that took place. It was very tame. It was very professional. It was just a discussion. It was a discussion about hip hop and about hip hop culture and about journalism. And honestly, I feel like everybody gave very intelligent, insightful answers. Honestly, if anybody got fucking packed the fuck out and made to look stupid, it was Doughboy. His homeboy literally calls him a fat ass motherfucker. Like, just out of nowhere. It's like, Doughboy, you fat ass nigga. Like, fuck. And then, like, he got packed out more than Challz. And Challz didn't even get packed out. I felt the baddest for Doughboy because I'm like, damn, they really just put you on blast like that. And then who was the one that made that awful take that 50 Cent was better than Jay-Z? I think it was either Jay or Legend that made that take, and everybody disagreed. Everybody was they were unanimously like, you're on crack. It was Jay. I think it was Jay that said that outlandish shit. And everybody was like, yeah, nah, that's not it, bro. That we disagree with that. Like, Challz was comfortable enough to joke around with these people and like take his jabs at Jay Roebuck. And like, it could have been because he was probably the only person he really like knew on that panel, because he didn't really know anybody else. So maybe he was like using him to kind of create conversation. But there's a way to do it. When you're trying to energy farm and bounce off of somebody that's familiar to you, you don't, keep poking the bear and keep calling them fucking names and keep like challenging their opinions and like calling them a Drake D writer and like being like, oh, you're just Drake's accountant. Like your takes, all of your takes are biased. It really felt like the only person on this panel that had a genuine stick up their ass was Challz Brown. And I never, in my life thought I would ever say those words, much less actually mean them. Like, at one point, I was genuinely irritated because Jay was trying to speak. He was giving his side, and Challz kept cutting him off. He kept cutting him off, and like, he's loud, and he was like talking over him. Like, I never thought I would ever verbally say, "Shut the fuck up, Challz," and let the nigga talk. But that's exactly what I said. I'm there stocking cups and coffee lids and shit, listening to this shit in my ear, and I'm like, damn, Challz, shut the fuck up. Just let him talk. Like, damn, you had your time. You've been talking for 5 minutes. Give him time. There's 8 other niggas on this panel. But it was just like, and at some point they had to step in and be like, bro, Challz, he let you speak, let him speak. Don't interrupt, don't interject. And it was just constant over talking and exacerbating and inflating and escalating. And then finally moderators had to get involved. They said that they never had mods on anything. They don't even have mods in their chat. But D-Fran had to literally step in and moderate the discussion because it was getting too heated. You want to know who it was between? Challz Brown and Jay Roebuck. And you could tell that Jay was getting very irritated. I could hear it in his voice. The moment he started talking, I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't come to fuck around. Don't do this, Challz. And he just kept antagonizing and antagonizing. And Jay was genuinely like trying to, and there were points where he cut into. I will say that. It wasn't as frequent because they were like, D-Fran would be like, no, it's fine. No, Jay, don't let him finish his thought. Let him finish his thought. You know, we're equal opportunity. We give everybody their fair shot and their chance to speak on their opinions. Wait until he's done, then you challenge his opinions. So there was a lot of that, but it was a lot more, not erratic, but trying to find the word, like volatile. It was a lot more volatile from Challz because you could genuinely tell that he had a genuine problem with Jay just existing. He had a genuine, and you could tell they had history. Like if people didn't know who Challz Brown was and they didn't know who Jay was and they didn't know that these niggas had any sort of history, looking at this live stream, you can very easily tell that there's some bad blood between them two. And it wasn't Jay that was instigating it, is the problem here. That's why I'm so confused as to why everybody's saying that this was a setup. Even if you felt like this was a setup, why would your reaction then be to act like a belligerent asshole for the rest of the live, to then give people the incentive, you know, give them the, I don't know, the vindication of completely embarrassing you? Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in that position and then be like, oh, they set me up? Well, if they set you up, even if you felt like you were being set up, the thing to do would have been to act natural, was to be as respectful as possible. Consider the opinions, give your opinions, come prepared with your facts and your receipts. You know, make sure that, like, as they're discussing, you're looking up receipts, you're looking up sources, you know, articles, people, I don't know, lyrics from songs, shit like that. But even then, they were talking about the game. They were talking about Game and Jay-Z. And Challz knows his hip-hop. I'm not taking that from him. He knows it because he grew up in it. Which is why I'm surprised that you acted like this. Because I've never seen a discussion like that happen before. Because I fuck with Challz Brown. I do. I watch his lives. I'm subscribed to his channel. But I'm sorry, I gotta call a spade here, man. This was not it. This behavior that was displayed during the live stream was not it. And even then, like those, like D. Fran said that Charles only saw the, I guess, communicated or talked like maybe once or twice. It was more like 3 or 4 times. And then he would interject here and there throughout the discussion, or like, add his insight. It was genuinely just a bunch of dudes sitting in a room having a conversation. And every now and then, Charles would start instigating and poking the bear at, and poking Jay and Jay Roebuck and whatever, calling him Drake's accountant and shit, and bringing up the UMG shit, bringing up the battle, like. And by this point, all the Drake fans are like, their biggest gripe is that they don't like hearing about the battle all the time, which I don't agree with, because I think that battle was like a vergence point in the direction that hip hop was moving in. I think that 2024 was a very important year for hip hop. It was probably the most legendary year in recent history, in recent hip hop, considering the hip hop dark age that we were in back in like 2016 before COVID. And then after COVID, when all these fucking white MAGA rappers started us emerging, like 2024 could not have happened any more perfectly, and it needed to happen. But at the same time, there's a dark shadow that was cast from that. While yes, it did reshape the culture and how we as consumers consume music, and how we as Black people engage and discuss and compare and contrast our thoughts on music, it also gave rise to a lot of stans, a lot of parasocials, a lot of people with low emotional intelligence who can't have civil discussions without escalating it to either violence or verbal assault. There is such a thing as having different opinions, and it doesn't have to end in bad blood. You can just disagree with somebody, and that's that. You don't have to try and sit there and convince them that their viewpoint is wrong. I'm not going to try to sit here and convince these Drake fans that they're wrong. I'm just going to be like, okay, I see you as a person. I also can acknowledge that you fuck with Drake. Drake's got like maybe 1 or 2 good songs that, like, if it played on the radio, I'd bop my head to it. I'm not even going to front. There's no Drake playing in this house, however. But if I, on the off chance I'm shopping at Walmart or Target or wherever the fuck, and I hear it on the radio, I'm not gonna be like, oh, turn this shit off. I'm not gonna start recoiling like it's literally killing me from the inside. I may do that as a joke, but I'm not gonna be serious, because at the end of the day, it's just music. At least the shit that he puts out is just music. It's just background noise. So I'm gonna be like, all right, whatever. It's a nice little beat or whatever, but it's not gonna leave a lasting impact. It's fast food. Is about the best way I can describe Drake. Drake is the McDonald's of rap, and Deleted said it. Shout out to Deleted. I am still the goth villain. I just had to change it to goth pitbull. Drake is the McDonald's of rap. Is it bad for you? Absolutely, especially when consumed in excess. But are we gonna sit there and judge people who are like, I like McDonald's, as opposed to, like, I don't know, home cooked meals? We judge them a little bit, because it's a surface level thing. It's like, oh, you're eating McDonald's instead of a home cooked meal. Like, for example, there's a show that I watched called Black Blasphemy, and it's this exact format right here that's in this live. I have it on my other screen. A bunch of people sharing something that would get them banned from the cookout. And shit that people didn't, the shit that I've heard in this show would piss y'all off. Y'all wouldn't even be able to finish the show. Literally the first episode, this nigga says with his black mouth out of his black chest that I like Kraft mac and cheese over home baked mac and cheese. And he said, home baked mac and cheese is trash. Give me the Blue Box Blues. And they're all still friends. Yeah, they roasted him, they judged him, they were like, really, what is wrong with your taste buds? You have negative taste buds. Like, they roasted him and gave him shit. They didn't agree with that in the slightest. This nigga also said that Stevie Wonder's music wasn't timeless. They're still friends. Yes, they disagree with that sentiment. Yes, they clown him every chance they get for it. But at the end of the day, they're still friends. They agree to disagree. They're standing firm in their opinions and they're challenging. And it's been to the point where some of them have even retracted their statements because they sat and they had discussions and conversations about these topics instead of acting with disdain or disgust or being revolted by it. They sat down and was like, why do you think that way? And they gained insight so that they could be like, okay, I see why you think that now. I'm respecting you as a person to and I'm respecting your opinion that you have as a free will, as a person who has free will. I don't agree with it, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna sit there and and assassinate your character for it, because you're entitled to your opinion. It's nothing life changing. The nigga just likes he's honestly, that would get your ass kicked if you said some wild shit like that back then. If you were black and you walked out in public and said with your whole chest that Stevie Wonder's music ain't timeless, I'm sorry, somebody would have probably kicked your ass. And I can't even it contradicts literally everything that I've said, but that's just how blasphemous this shit is to black people. Like, there's a good chance. I'm not saying I condone it. I'm not saying I support using violence as a means of solving your issues. I'm just saying that in black communities, if you were to say some shit like that about Stevie Wonder, there was a good chance you were getting dropped. It was as simple as that. Coming back, sis. Your nephew got a doctor's appointment. As soon as I'm done, I'll come back if he's still alive. It was an era of truth coming out, wasn't it? Yeah, Cat Williams. Yeah, Cat Williams had given the truth, so I'ma get mine. The embassy about to get raided too. It's only a matter of time. And yes, I still quote Kendrick lyrics to this day. Fight me. That doesn't mean that I'm slobbing on Kendrick's salami, okay? That just means that I'm appreciating lyrics. That's how my brain works. I take lyrics from songs that I've heard before and I use them and I apply them to my life. I use them as little proverbs. Call it a vocal stem or an ad lib, if you will. If I'm talking about something that's relevant, I'm gonna quote the song. It doesn't matter if it's Kendrick, doesn't matter if it's Clips, doesn't matter if it's fucking Metallica. Because I listen to metal too. I'm gonna quote it. God damn it. Like, I'm a music head. If I were to cut my arm right now, I would bleed quarter notes and dotted eighth notes. That's not even hyperbole. That's me being dead fucking serious. That's how much I love, breathe, and ingest music on a daily basis. That also means not being biased with music. Like, there's some music that I just don't really care for. Like, if it doesn't appeal to me sonically, I'm not gonna listen to it. Does that necessarily mean that I don't like the artist? No. I don't like Drake because he put on blackface and he creeps on little girls. And he's just overall kind of a cornball. He's a bit of I look, that nigga's a culture vulture. Say what you will. They can say what they want, but this motherfucker is a vulture, bro. He is like Jack. He's like the mixed version of Jack Harlow. He literally tried to sit up there and say that he got blacker, and y'all let him get away with it. He literally said, "I got blacker." That's that. I'm not gonna say it because I'm not getting this stream demonetized. But let me say, he curled that R. He used the fuck out of that R. He said the that grr. He hit that bitch like a pirate. Oh god damn it, my headset's going out. That's fine. I'm not gonna be on here for much longer anyways because it is 2 p.m. and I have not gotten any sleep yet. But this live will stay up. I said what I said. I'm not going back on it. I said what I said. I call a spade a spade. I'm not going to let other people or factions or communities gaslight or try and persuade me into believing something that I don't believe in. Because I'm sorry, the situation that's happening should not have blown up to this proportion. The only reason this is blowing up at all is because they're Drake fans. That's literally it. We move on. They did a live stream earlier today, like 8 hours ago, literally while I was at work. I didn't know that they were live while I was at work. Otherwise, I would have jumped in to get further context. Because Challz put out a live stream. Y'all have seen it. I know people have seen it. So I took some notes on this Jay Roebuck dude. And I noted some things. Jay, like I said, is a debater. He debates in real life, face to face. He doesn't do online debates. He says he travels across the country to meet with people and debate with them on topics. I guess he does that for a living. He puffed his chest a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie, but honestly, I would have done it too. He was kind of in his feelings, and he's valid. He's valid in feeling the way that he feels. He has a lot of confidence, and he takes his craft very seriously, is what I noticed. He takes his profession very seriously. And in this world, especially in the music world and in the hip hop journalism world, that can come off as very intimidating to a lot of people who aren't as prepared or who aren't as passionate about the subjects that they research, like Jay. Jay is very passionate about the things that he researches and debates. And you can tell because of his conviction, the inflections that he uses when he speaks. Do I agree with his points? Do I agree with a lot of his points? I don't know. I haven't watched any of his stuff. I don't know what he does. Like the only reason I know what he this shit here is because he said it out of his own mouth. These are notes that I was taking while listening to him speak. So I'm not going to judge people's character just because they happen to be Drake fans. Because like I said, I have friends who like Drake. I know family, friends, families, kids who like Drake. What am I gonna hate a child because they're singing God's Plan in the car? No. What kind of fucking psychopath would I look like? But he keeps it respectful, I noticed. He's very articulate, he's very intelligent. He knows he has his sources and he cites his sources, because that was a thing that I remember him saying. He said, as a debater, you always cite your sources, you come prepared with your sources, you always have receipts. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a debating ass nigga right there. And he's from Harlem. He's from Harlem, New York. That's a nigga. Right, I don't think it could get any blacker than that. That's Harlem. That's why that confidence comes off as very off-putting, because it's very New York, y'all. Y'all have to understand that hip-hop, that New York is one of the progenies of hip-hop. It is one of the birthplaces, arguably the birthplace of hip-hop. New York niggas are mean as fuck. But a lot of times, they're not mean. They're just blunt. They're very blunt. They skip all the pleasantries. They don't try to sugarcoat it. They don't pussyfoot around. They don't be like, they're not tolerant, I guess I should say. Or I should say they're not tolerant. They tolerate you because they don't know you. And like, if you're cool, then all right, you're cool. You're chill. You can hang with the boys. But like, if you're a stranger, they're not going to regard you. They're not going, because it's not this, trying to please people. New York people don't have anything to prove because they're from New York. That's enough. The moment they start talking, their mannerisms, you can easily tell when a nigga's from New York is when they start talking. That's all you need. Because it's just confidence. They ooze confidence. And a lot of times it can be arrogance. Sometimes I'm not even going to front. But again, it's just New York. New York niggas are just mean. Doesn't mean that they're disrespectful. It doesn't mean that they don't like you. They're just very brash. It's all in good faith, though. It's all love at the end. It's just a very tough love. And so that's what he does. And that's why he stays very respectful. He doesn't swear. He never sweared in this live stream, now that I think about it. He didn't call people out of their names. There was none of that. No shouting. Well, at least not from him. There were points where you could tell he was kind of irritated with the points that Challz was making. And he was like trying to interject every now and then, and D-Fran would be like, hold on, let him finish, which he respected. Every time D-Fran stepped in, he was like, all right, I got you. I'll wait. I'm gonna wait my turn. But know when my turn comes, I'm finna right on that ass. He put belts to cheeks. He was sitting there waiting, just snapping that fucking belt. Like, come on, finish talking, nigga, so I can fuck you up. But not actually, like, not in a disrespectful, demeaning kind of way. Just a dismantling your flimsy argument kind of way. And I didn't know half of the shit they were talking about in this goddamn panel. Do you think I care to bother myself with details about this fucking steak lawsuit? I don't care about steak. I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble. I'm not interested. I don't care. I have better things to worry about. I put out thought pieces on music, and I play video games, and I spend time with my family. Like, I don't care about this goddamn case. I mean, they do it for work, but my channel is geared in a much different direction. Yes, I do music and hip-hop journalism, but I also do music analysis and music breakdown. That is, I guess, my niche is analysis. Going into autistic detail about, like, maybe a verse or a couple verses or even the whole goddamn song that stood out to me, that I'm very passionate about, that I want to share, and I'll deep dive it. So that's why, like, when I'm sitting here watching all of these people get up in arms and be like, oh, we stand behind you, Challz, is fuck them till the day we die, we're unsubbing, we're gonna spam their chat with insults and fucking emojis and insulting their appearance and saying that they've got, insulting their wives and their girlfriends and shit. Come on now, let's be civil in these discussions. Okay, so case in point, perfect example. There was a top comment on one of Challz's videos that D-Fran pulled up to prove his point of how out of control this got. The comment reads, that cornball is celebrating his 500th subscriber, referring to Wardu's World. Wardu's World is a very... his channel is a lot smaller than what I thought it was. I think he just got the 500 subs. Because he's just co-hosting with D-Fran, but he's been branching out and doing his own content and trying to build his own channel. And so the person says, that cornball is celebrating his 500th subscriber. I went and reported all of his videos. I don't have to sit here and tell y'all how absolutely psychotic that is. That is absolutely atrocious behavior. And whoever did that, you should, if you actually did go and report all of their videos, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. to go in and try to destroy and dismantle somebody's chance at, success on YouTube just because they like artists that you don't like, or they have an opinion that doesn't match yours. I could see if there was racism happening and, sexism and, people misogyny, people, I'm not even gonna say anti-Semitism. Honestly, I'm over them. Fuck them. And just like being an all around piece of shit and like targeting people who don't deserve it, then I would have grounds to be a little more on Challz's side with this. But I'm judging this objectively from somebody who has never interacted with any of these people's content before, but has garnered enough information from listening to several hours of these niggas talking to gain some insight on how they operate. And if anything, the person you should be side-eyeing, Challz, is Chigz, because he's the one who set up the live, brother. So, like, if anybody set you up, it wasn't Defran, it wasn't Wardu, it wasn't Jay. People in the comments were like, Chigz set you up, bro. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, I'm in no position to make that claim. I'm not going to assume. But I'm saying if there's anybody you should be turning your ire towards, it's Chigz. Because it was his panel. Yeah, it got famous. It got popular on Defran's channel because they were guests on there. They were popular guests on there, and their channels are bigger. Like this whole panel alone in the past 3 days is at like over 2,000 views. 3 hours worth of conversation. 2,000 views on his channel right now. And it was just posted a few days ago. That means 2,000 something people took the time to watch at least 30 minutes of this 3-hour fucking podcast, live stream, whatever the fuck. Well, I don't have a problem with disagreeing with somebody's opinion. You have the right to disagree with whatever the fuck you want. This is America. This is a free country. We can do that. What I draw the line at is being rude, disrespectful, hateful, dragging people's families into it. Like, it's just unnecessary amounts of vitriol. And for what? What is the point? Why do you spew such hatred? What is the end game here? Is it because if it's to make your side look good, it's not working. It's doing the opposite, in fact. And if it's to prove a point, congratulations. You've only proved why they avoid you like the plague. You have proved nothing except their arguments against you. And like all the comments I saw were like, oh, these K stands, these fucking K bots. And then people kept saying fans and stands. And I'm like, don't do that. There's a difference between Kendrick fans and Kendrick stands, okay? Kendrick fans can acknowledge when Kendrick says some stupid shit. We can just enjoy the nigga's music and move the fuck on with our lives and go and touch grass. These other motherfuckers exist on the internet. Their nuts are glued to their gamer chairs 25/7, and they're sitting there in front of their 50 screens, pulling up everybody's live screen with their live streams with their 20 burner accounts, leaving hate comments on everybody's bullshit, and instigating. Because you're lonely, and you live in a bachelor pad, and nobody loves you, and you have too much time on your hands. And am I necessarily talking about the Kendrick stans? No. I'm talking about stans in general that spend way too much time on the internet and don't know how to act when their opinion is challenged, even if it's in like a respectful manner. That's the issue here, is that y'all are all fucking mobbing and hive minding And the parasocialing is really parasocialing right now. And I'm gonna need y'all to really like do your own research and just like get a clue. And like stop being so fucking biased. We can sit here and agree to disagree with somebody without having to resort to distasteful behavior. And like, does this mean I'm a Drake writer or a Drake fan? No. Don't twist my motherfucking words. That's what we're not gonna do in this space. I know I have reading comprehension skills. I understand nuance. I understand fucking author's intent. I understand fucking vocal inflections. I understand all of that. Critical thinking, reading comprehension, verbal comprehension, shit like that. Like, I know. Just because I don't think these niggas are Satan walking does not mean that I'm automatically worshiping the same things that they worship. I wouldn't even go as far as to say worship. They just like Drake. They like his music. He's just their favorite artist. Which is like, okay, I don't agree with it. I don't like Drake. But am I going to go out of my way and start slandering people's names through the mud just because they like listening to his music, or like they like listening to Game's music or Future's music or Rick Ross's music? No. Am I gonna like, but the ones that are visibly like cooning it up, sure, I'll be like, yeah, no, you're acting a little weird. The ice lickers and the chair sniffers and the fucking weirdos that showed up at Kendrick's house, you can keep those. We don't want those. Those are the crazy ones. Those are the escaped mental patients. And we just push those into the corner and pretend that they don't exist. As for the rest of them, there are really just regular ass people who just so happen to like Drake. And there are people who just so happen to grow up listening to Drake, or grow up watching shit like The Breakfast Club, or watching DJ Academics, or growing up watching shit like they even said they watched The Culture United. So they watch everything. They do what journalists do. They consume sources from a wide range. They're not just locking themselves in an echo chamber of Drake D writers and yes men. They actively tap into sources that challenge their opinion. At least these men. Some of them are a little the Drake D righty. Which one was that? I don't think he was in this one, but Bryce or whatever his name is, that's a Drake D writer through and through. But like, assuming that just by affiliation, that gives y'all the right to go and attack these people the way that y'all did, is not proving anything. It's only proving how unstable and volatile this goddamn YouTube community is. We can't have debates anymore. We can't have discussions anymore. We can't sit down with people that we disagree with and have a discussion without it escalating into a goddamn screaming match, without insults being thrown around, without people's sexualities being thrown into question, without people's race being thrown into question. We can't have discussions anymore without getting disrespectful. Why is that? Why? Why can't we just sit down and talk like we used to back in the day and just have our different opinions and compare and contrast those different opinions? Like, I don't understand where all of this hatred and this animosity was coming from. Like, genuinely, like watching it from a third party, having like never heard of any of these people before, and watching it objectively, I'm just like, what the fuck is everybody's problem? Like, why are they acting like this? And it was people I knew that were acting like this, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna be a part of that. I'm not doing that. Because that would be stooping to the very same level as the Drake ice lickers and the seat sniffers. And the last thing that I'm going to do is stoop down to their pathetic level and give the other side more ammo to use against Kendrick fans. We already get roped in with you freaks and weirdos anyway. Just, we need to practice a little more trigger discipline when it comes to these YouTube discussions. Whether you're in a live stream or you're on a panel or you're a guest on somebody else's channel, just be respectful. Be respectful of each other, bro. It's not that hard. It's not fucking rocket science, y'all. It's just, can we please just practice a modicum of decency? Can we act like we're not ghetto and ratchet and irritable all the time? Black people are intelligent as fuck. And when we put our brains together, we can achieve amazing things. But we are our own worst enemy right now, especially in this YouTube hip hop space. And why am I speaking so boldly about this? I have nothing to lose here, y'all. I don't have a community of people to fall back on for support other than my own. Shout out to the Rough Riders. Rough Riders! Arr, arr. Beside the point, I don't have a community that's standing behind me. I don't have that anymore. I did, but I stood on some fucking morals and I stood on integrity with who I thought was somebody that was being put in a precarious situation. I'm not going to go into that any further, but like I made a whole video about it. I made a decision. I chose to stand by my sister in that time. Shout out to the New Nation. Subscribe to the New Nation. That's my homegirl. That's my sister. We ride until the motherfucking wheels fall off. That's my ride or die right there. That's the one that I'm going to be in her window with the sign that says, "Where's my plate?" With a little frowny face. Because she cooks. She just made this pasta, this seafood pasta. Just, that shit had me biting my phone screen. I was getting the shakes, man. I was getting the coke head shakes. But yeah, no, I all I have are myself, the people that believe in me, my family, my friends, and then my community, you guys, the people that watch and engage and leave comments and show support on my stuff. Because I'm not out here to dick ride the algorithm. I'm not. Every once in a while, I'll, be a part of the trend, put out a video, whatnot, give my thoughts, throw in my little 2 cents. But for the most part, I am doing my part through knowledge, through actual analysis, actual conversation, deep dives, challenging people's opinions, challenging people's worldviews, offering them an alternate perspective on things that they previously had little to no knowledge about. And you always learn something new with my stuff. I'm not going to sit there and feed you lies. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm pulling from my own experience. And I use music as a medium for that. Because there's a lot that we can learn from these lyrics. Old and new. Because they're timeless messages and timeless stories and experiences that are forever immortalized in vinyl, in DVD, in cassette, in 8. It doesn't matter. Online, on streaming platforms, that is a piece of history. And it's something that we can learn a lot from. One song, and you can learn so much from it. That's why I love and I appreciate music on such a deep, intimate level. Because music, again, like I always say on my channel, music reaches deeper than words ever could. And that's true. It holds true to this day. When people are going through complex emotions that they can't work through, they write poetry or they make music. or they listen to music, because there are songs out there that can tackle multiple emotions like that at one time. And it can hit on a deeper level because one, it sounds good, and two, the messages are hitting home every time. You are connecting to the artist through their art. And that's how you form connect. Kendrick said it. I know, I'm gonna keep saying it because I'm using him as my source of reference. I'm sorry, Pulitzer Prize, I can't ignore that. Unity in grief. Unity through grief. Empathy. Connecting through trauma. Trauma bonding. Not like trauma bonding is kind of toxic depending on how you look at it, but with Black people, we have mastered the art of bonding through trauma. That is our biggest flex, is that we can prosper and thrive from trauma. We can take our pain and our traumas and turn it into something gorgeous. Like I said in a previous video, hip hop fans, people who discuss and people who write thought pieces, people who do hip hop journalism, people who look at the analytics, every single group of people plays a core part in what makes up the umbrella of hip hop. Is Drake hip hop? No. But it's not because he was born in Canada. It's not because he was an outsider. It's because he sued. He sued. And the moment he did that, he violated the code. There's a certain code that you have to abide by when you're in the hip hop world. Snitches get stitches, and litigation is for pussies. I don't like, what part of that don't you understand? You study rap. I study rap battle for a living. Then you should have studied how fucking stupid it would have been to file a goddamn lawsuit against an entire record label over a diss track. Even if it is the fucking fecal matter in the shape of a UMG logo. Fuck UMG. I don't like them. I wasn't even siding with them. I just didn't want Drake to win. That's it. Because of the mere fact that suing is for suckers. It's just, on a moral standpoint, me personally, I take that shit very seriously. Because you're attacking somebody for how they used their freedom of expression. And after the shit that you said about Kendrick and his family, you have no right to accuse him of defamation. You said that nigga beats his wife and that his kids weren't actually his, that his son wasn't his. You tried to say that his best friend of like 20, 30 something years slept with his wife to produce that baby. Slimy, egregious shit. Which I did note was also a point that D-Fran brought up, and even he disagreed with it. He said, Drake, I'm sorry, you gotta take the L on that one, bro, because you did say that that man beats his wife, and you did say that that man's kids are not his, so you deserved that. Like, he agrees that the lawsuit was corny. It was corny. Any hip-hop fan with a brain cell knows, can say with full confidence that suing over a diss track is corny. It is. Like, I'm not gonna let Drake forget it. Like, I'm gonna move on. Or, like, time keep moving on. But, like, I'm sorry, that's just a stain that's forever present on Drake's legacy. If he hadn't sued, we would be having a much different conversation right now. Think about that. One decision is the difference between Drake fans and Kendrick fans getting along and Drake fans and Kendrick fans wanting to fucking kill each other all the time. Think about that. One singular decision. Because we would have looked past all the fucking AI Tupac shit and the fucking the shit he said in Family Matters. Because even with the shit he said in Family Matters, people were still rocking with it. That was his best diss track, in my opinion, out of all the ones that he put out. But just, I don't know. I just don't think it's fair to judge people's character based on the artists that they support or like the people that are adjacent to the artists that they support. Because Drake's got a lot of corny niggas that support him. I'm not even gonna lie. And a lot of these corny niggas they know of each other, but they're not connected as much. Like they know who each other are. Like, for example, they are familiar with this particular live stream had What's the Dirt pop in and Poetic Flacco. But Poetic Flacco popped in and didn't say anything to anybody. He immediately started talking to Chiggs, and it was about academics. And Chiggs was like, nah, fuck academics, bro. That nigga called me a fucking chihuahua. He called me Charlemagne's attack dog. And then he left. And What's the Dirt was just in the comment section being a random YouTube commenter. Brother is like the wonder bread of YouTube commentators. Am I using that word correctly? I think the weed's kicking in, y'all. He's like the wonder bread of YouTube commenters. Like nothing, just kind of bland. He wasn't even really saying much. He would just he would chime in every now and then. And I'm just like, why is he here? Like, I'm trying to listen to whatever they're fucking talking about so I can gain some insight into whether or not I should actually care about this topic. Newsflash, I don't. I still don't. I don't care. I don't care about any of these topics that they were discussing because it's not my lane. It's not my avenue. I lean towards the more creative side of hip hop and music, while they lean more towards the pragmatic and analytical side. So, does that necessarily mean that like I agree with everything that they say? No. I disagree with some of it. I disagree with a lot of what they said. Like, yeah, they're defending Drake because they're looking at it objectively. They're looking at it very pragmatically. Whereas everybody else is looking at it from a culture standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a musician's standpoint. They're like, that wasn't a smart move. Suing killed any argument that we can make for this dude. We can't even defend him when he's in this stake lawsuit or whatever the fuck. I'm not that much of a hip hop fan. For me, it was more he started the fight and then he bitched about it. That's that part too. Like, he started it. And then he's like bitching and complaining that defamation of character, that, like, I don't know. I can't get behind that. It's very throwing rocks and hiding hands. And I can't get behind that. But like, does that mean that I'm just gonna like boycott all of his music? Well, I do, just because for the bit, mainly for the bit. But secondly, I am a professional Drake hater. I am a D1 Drake hater. No, I'm not gonna like stalk his Instagram or his Twitter or whatever and like, leave hate comments on all of his shit. No, because I don't care. I don't care enough to do that. It's very parasocial to me. Like, why would it take up and occupy my brain space that much and trigger me on such a deep, visceral level to where it's getting a genuine negative reaction from me, to where I'm dedicating so much time and effort into trying to one up this nigga or trying to insult this motherfucker and be like, haha, gotcha, you suck, you stupid, fuck you. No, I got better things to do. I got better things to worry about. But like, at the end of the day, we need to get back to a point where we can have debates again. And I will always Well. I think he got my message. You see? Y'all see this? Y'all see this? Y'all see what's happening right now? This is what's called. This is the universe working as intended. I didn't think he was going to show up. I genuinely did not think he was going to show up, but I will. Now that you're here, I can sit here and I can look at the camera directly and say what I said earlier. Lupe Fiasco, I am so sorry for packing you out the way that I did, bro. I was making judgments based on what I was seeing. Did it hold some merit? Kind of. But it compared to what I had to witness today, what I saw from you was tame. Relatively tame. Like, you didn't go out of your way and start throwing N-words around, buddy. And then, like, at that point, I'm woman enough to sit here and be like, you know what? I'm sorry. I take it back. I shouldn't have gone in as hard on you as I did. But, and like, the fuck am I doing? I'm woman enough to admit it. Pride is not a thing that I'd like to dwell in. Because it can very easily turn into arrogance. But thank you for popping in anyways. But to wrap up, when we need to get back to having discussions. We need to get back to having actual civil discussions without it devolving into absolute chaos and name calling and insulting people and acting like a bunch of assholes. How dare you have a life outside of your Yes. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all handled this very poorly. You should not have gone on that man's live and spammed his chat like that. That was very immature. Immature and disrespectful. And like, I can't. No hard feelings. All right, my nigga. Salute to you, my nigga. Like, this is how God works. You're still a dork. Hey, let up off of him. Do I agree with that? A little bit, but like, I'm a dork too, so it is what it is. Do I still think that you like kind of acted like an asshole? Yes, I did. Objectively. But you know, whatever. It is what it is. I said what I had to say on the matter and I moved the fuck on. Because like I said, I got better things to deal with. I have bigger fish to fry. I'm here for a different reason. I want to enrich the community. I want to thrive. I want to smoke good, eat good, live good. I want my family to live good. I don't want, just, oh, and speaking of family, my dad's calling me again. Golly, I'm really going to have to wrap this up. Damn it, just when it was getting good. All right, Dad, hold on. I'm going to get to you in a second. Because, like I said, I'm a daddy's girl, so I can't just ignore my dad like that. I'm going to get to him real quick. We're going to wrap up here. So, conclusion. Don't be a dick. Very simple. Black Jesus taught not to be a dick. Just, if there are people that disagree with you, hear them out. Let them have their piece. Let them speak. Respect them as a human being first, before you incorporate everything else into the mix. And that's the most important thing that people have lost sight of, especially people in the hip-hop community and in the black community altogether. We can't just have our differing opinions and go on with our lives and have civil discussions. No, any disagreement we take as a personal attack against us. And that's not saying that, some people's is verified. Like I said, that's valid. Lupe, we done already squashed it. Y'all see that? Y'all see what just happened there? That just proved my motherfucking point. Right there. That proved my point right there. Now, you could disagree with how somebody is. You could disagree with how somebody's acted. You could disagree with somebody and still be cool. But like I said, I apologize. Because, bro, if I knew even half of what I know now, I wouldn't have never. I wouldn't have touched it with a 39.5-foot pole. And but it happened. And it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing happens by accident. So I just wanted to give insight on this whole um Defran and Drake incident, because it's not that deep, y'all. These niggas aren't fucking chair sniffers and ice lickers. They're just a bunch of dudes that happen to like Drake. And there's nothing wrong with that. Settle down, Noah. But just please, y'all, can we just go back to being respectful, treating people with respect first, not letting our personal biases cloud our judgment and lead us into doing things that we're not proud of, into acting reckless, into being degrading, being mean. Because wouldn't you want somebody to offer you that same respect if you were in a conversation? Wouldn't you want somebody to treat you like a person enough to hear your side and take your opinions and your thoughts into consideration, whether they agreed with them or not? Everybody wants that respect. So the good fucking, I'm not even gonna say the good Christian thing, the decent thing to do would be to just treat people the way you want to be treated. That's it. I don't understand why that's such a hard concept for these people, bro. I don't understand. Just treat people the way you want to be treated. It's not that hard. It is so easy. You know what? No, I'm gonna rewind that. I'm gonna say that it is so easy to be mean and hateful and arrogant and belligerent, but the hardest thing to do is to practice kindness. And not because you're getting something out of it, but because it's the right thing to do. That seems to be the hardest thing to do. Another thing, admitting when you're wrong, owning up to your mistakes, accountability. It's so easy to just bury yourself in the delusion and be like, no, it's me versus everybody. They're all against me. They're all trying to set me up. This is a psyop. But it's even harder to admit when you are the problem. Challz, I'm sorry. I'm not saying you're the problem, but this situation is not what you're portraying it to be. It's not. That's not what I'm seeing. Not even in the slightest. In fact, it was quite the opposite. It was you going after Jay Roebuck more than anything. And I'm basing my opinion around fact and research that I did myself. I didn't just go to Twitter and farm for clips, y'all. I sat here and watched and listened to hours and hours and hours of these niggas talking and giving their insight. I watched these live streams in order, by the way, because I needed background context first. I never go into some shit like this uninformed and empty-handed. The fuck? That's, I don't know what kind of fucking half-ass fucking, I'm too much of a perfectionist not to be prepared for shit like this. So I'm sorry. I may be the only one on the internet that disagrees with you, Challz, but I'm saying it right now to the camera. I disagree with you. Does that mean that I hate you? No. Does that mean that I'm going to unsubscribe from your channel? No. Does that mean I think you're less of a human being? No. I disagree with what you are saying / doing. I am exercising my right as a woman, as a Black American woman. Shout out to Lenny Kravitz, American woman. Okay, I'm done. I am practicing my right to disagree. I am practicing my free will to judge a situation using my intuition, my gift of discernment. I'll say it. I'll hype myself up a little bit. Why not? My discernment. And it has never led me astray. I may not have been on this world very long, but I have seen and been through a lot for somebody my age. Enough to where Welcome back, sis. Me and Lupe squashed our beef. Um, yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but yeah, it really happened. We squashed it here live. I apologized to him, and yeah, he said no hard feelings. I'm gonna still go. Will I still listen to his music? Hell yeah. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, his music is trash. Like, that new shit, that Amy Winehouse shit was kind of confusing. I'm not even gonna front about that. But the other albums are good. I went and listened to the music. Like, the shit's good. It's a vibe. It's such a vibe. It gives me like old school staying up at 3 a.m. watching like Boondocks on Cartoon Network or something. It gives me those vibes. And it's a very nostalgic feeling for me because that's a very core, vivid memory that I have. Because growing up, we weren't allowed to watch TV. So the only time I could ever actually watch TV and consume any sort of media was at my dad's house. And that's the only time I could ever stay up late, too. And they always played the good shit between that 1 a.m. and that 4 a.m. time block. That was the time to really lock in. That was where you saw all the anime, fucking Toonami, fucking Adult Swim. Like, and that's just how I consumed all of this media. Like, that I grew up watching like anime, and I grew up watching Cartoon Network, I grew up watching Powerpuff Girls, shit like that. And so that music takes me back to that time, and that's a connection. It's an emotional connection, which I said in my last video that I ever did on Lupe, that if your music is not connecting with people on an emotional level, then you failed, because that's the whole point of music. The whole point is to connect on the sub layer, not just the surface, but to hit right here, right here. I know it looks like I'm pointing at my titty, but my heart. God damn it! Come on now, we know anatomy in this bitch. But it's about that time. I have kept y'all here for long enough. I've probably pissed off a good portion of you, but hey, it's the goth in me. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna listen to my gospel, and I'm gonna get some sleep, actually, and I'm gonna enjoy my motherfucking night off. So, for all the people that came through and showed love, and even if you didn't show love, thank you for coming through anyway. Your support matters. And I know my lipstick is all but gone right now because I've been yapping for the better part of 3 hours. I have never just sat up here and yapped for 3 goddamn hours straight. Not without some sort of media in the way. Like, this is unbelievable. I'm sorry. I'm just really trying to like it's very surreal. But thank you again to everybody that pulled through. Stephanie Howell, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. If you guys will come back, hit that subscribe button. I do gaming, I do music analysis. I'm going to be doing that more often, where I pick a random lyric from a song, and then I go into it in autistic detail, because that's just what I do best. Apparently, is like I find lyrics that hit me on a deeper level, and then I explore those thoughts and the context and the world behind what that verse or what that specific lyric conveys. So I have more than Kendrick content on my channel, y'all. Let's not do that. I'm not a Kendrick stan, okay? Yes, my most popular video is a fucking Kendrick video, but that's not my fault. That's the algorithm's fault. I was not expecting that bitch to do almost 9,000 views, okay? And even then, like, I do other shit. I react to horror. I have my fucked up lyrics. I still gotta get back into my spinning the block. I still have a lot of music that I haven't reacted to yet. I'm gonna start doing music reviews, where I like listen to the song first, and then I formulate my thoughts on it afterwards. So instead of just reacting to it because YouTube doesn't like reactions, I'll put up my official review of the song, and I'll probably have the lyrics there with me as like a guide. Or, I'll probably just listen to it, give my commentary throughout, and then put it on Patreon. Because, I don't know, YouTube doesn't like music. They don't like music reactions either. And it's like, I do more than just sit there and watch the fucking video. I like to pause because I like to talk. My brain, I generate thoughts, y'all. Like, all these people are like, oh my god, you pause too much. Well, you whine too much. I don't fucking know. These niggas are like, oh, you're not pausing enough. But even I know they're probably being sarcastic, but fuck you. Like, how dare you? The nerve of you to say that I practice my free will of thought too much. I think too much for a woman. Up yours, disrespectfully. I'm gonna keep pausing the video, y'all, because the commentary that I'm providing is of substance. It's not just me talking into the void about random bullshit. I'm trying to educate you motherfuckers. I'm trying to learn y'all something. That's why I'm pausing the video, because I don't want to keep talking over the shit, and then y'all get annoyed and be like, oh my god, just pause the video if you need to talk. I'm sorry, I had to light into y'all a little bit. It's just playful jabs here and there, but the ones that are in my comment section, like, oh, stop pausing the video so much. Nah, it's disrespect. I am a non-conformist, so I'm a rebel, bitch. I classic rock, metal, punk, alternative, hip hop, all based on fuck the system. That video is how I first found you. Thank you. Like, yeah, I love that. I love that I'm reaching all these different people too, and that like my messages and my insight is connecting with people, and people are getting something useful and positive out of it. Like, I just love contributing something of value and something that's timeless, something of substance that you can go back and rewatch a few times, so that you go back and pass down to somebody else, or pass to somebody that may need to hear it. It's like, hey, I know you're going through something, but I came across this video, and I think what's being talked about could help you out. Like, I love that. That's what community is. God damn it. That's what community is about. Connecting with people. Unity it's connecting despite your opinions, your circumstances, your economic backgrounds, your skin color, your religion. It's being able to come together in that moment and it just exist and be human. Just I wouldn't expect y'all niggas to go. I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't expect y'all to know nothing about that. Again, I know a lot of y'all are married, or have been married before, so y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But, Tom, get over here so you can say goodbye to these motherfuckers. Tom still has the bonnet on. The tea was spicy as fuck today. Oh yeah, that's Nunu Nation. That's my sister, Stephanie. That's my sister. She's a mod. She accidentally her computer be doing. She's got that Texas internet. So it's very hit or miss. It goes in and out. So anything, if your comment gets deleted, don't take it personally. She's not actually deleting your shit. It was 1000% an accident. It's only for the people that get belligerent / disrespectful. And even then, I told Nunu before I started this live, I said, don't delete nothing. Let them come. Let them say what they need to say. I don't care. I'm not deleting shit. Deleting things is the coward's way out, because then you're not challenging your brain. You're not confronting that opinion. Where is the challenge? Where is the potential to gain a new perspective or gain new information? I always approach every conversation as a challenge, a playful kind of like puzzle challenge for the brain. To, one, practice my social skills because I have crippling social anxiety, and two, to practice, talking, debating on viewpoints that may not be similar to mine. And that's how I get my experience. I talk to people in real life who have different opinions than me. And like we agree to disagree all the time. Do we think less of each other at the end? No. Cuz it's just we need to normalize having different opinions again. Like because it's okay to be different. I got to find that song. It's okay, so for all my people who know ball, if you've ever seen Bear in the Big Blue House, there's a specific song. I think it's called We're All Different. Um and it was the old PBS Kids soundtrack, and it had intros, songs, and outros from all these different shows. Uh, fucking Bear in the Big Blue House, Barney, Bob. I think no, not Bob the Builder. PB and J, Dragon Tales, fucking oh god, Out of the Box. What was the other one? I think between what is it? Between the Lions or something like that. But it was all these different PBS shows. I gotta find that song and I'm gonna break it down because it needs to be. That's something that really needs to be put out into the atmosphere. But as always, y'all, I have been Nix's J, aka the Goth Pitbull, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Catch y'all later.